Hello, hello. Welcome to Freestyle Indie. Today is Friday, last episode for Freestyle Indie. I'm your host, Joey Salvador. We have a great couple of guests today. Don't go away when we come back. Today's different. Freestyle Indie is not just about music, it's also about films, books, music, and art. Hang in there. Hello, hello. Our guest today is the founders and the co-producers and the CEOs. I think you're both CEO or one are CEO and one is COO of Origin Films, my friend Danny and Tuya. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Hello, we are doing good. How are you, Joe?
Awesome. Nice to see you again. It's been a while. We've been locked down away from each other for a while, but how you guys been doing ever since?
Doing really good. I mean, doing what we can during this time to stay busy and have fun.
Yeah, I feel like this time has kind of given us a little bit of like freedom to kind of work on things that you wouldn't usually get to work on in your business. So I think it's a little bit of a blessing.
All right. Well, let's get back to the basics. Tell me about Origins Film. What it is about? Are you guys filmmakers? Do you make feature films for movies, or are you producing commercials for television? Tell me everything about Origin Films and how it originated.
Oh, wow, that's a pretty loaded question. Origin Films, we're a Toronto-based video production company, and we literally do everything from corporate commercials to short films, music videos. We've worked with, dance studios for photography. We've worked with travel agencies. So we literally try to do everything under the sun because it's just what we love to do. Me and Poya have been friends since 2004, 2005. So, when we first started hanging out, honestly, what kind of brought us together was video, to be honest. Like we started making videos for school, in elementary school, and then we just kept on doing it, creating YouTube channels, making skits, and then it kind of just snowballed past our high school and college life, and then we started to open this production company, and it's been an uphill battle ever since. Like running your own company, being an entrepreneur, but we love it. It's been a learning process, and it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. What about you, Puya? You want to share anything?
I think Danny kind of just said it all there. So
Yeah, we both came into the video production world in a very strange way. We can totally get into that. I mean, it's two totally separate stories, but I mean, it's also interesting how the way the world works. Poya was. You want to tell your side of the story, then I'll tell my side.
yeah, sure. So after about like high school, we kind of went our separate ways for about 4 years. Like we were still friends and best friends. We'd meet up all the time, but we never started to pursue our video career anymore. We kind of just went in our own directions. Danny was doing marketing and he was studying marketing, and I was just kind of traveling around and trying to figure out like what do I want to do for the rest of my life. And then about like 4 years later, after high school, I ended up in like Thailand, and I was at like this meditation retreat, and I was just kind of going through my journal, and I was like what do I want to do for the rest of my life? And then one of the last things I crossed off was video production or videos and making videos. So I called up Danny when I was in Thailand. I was like, dude, I'm going to be back in the country in a month. Like, we should start a video production company. And then we came, and then I was begging Danny to quit his job at this time and start the video production company.
Yeah, I wouldn't say begging. I would say he was very, very persuasive. It was interesting because I was working like a pretty decent desk job, and I'm sure any blue or white collar worker would understand that lifestyle where you show up to work, you work the 8 hours, you go home, and at some point in that career, I felt that it was really dry, and Poya, came to me at the right time and was like, "This is our dream. Like we've always done this. This has to be something that we have to try, or we're going to regret." And like he said, it took a little bit of persuading. I think it took me around 6 months to actually tell my boss that I was going to be quitting. But it was that fear to leave the stable lifestyle to pursue something that was going to be fully dependent on our work ethic and our talent, and that was exciting. And once we hopped into it, like we had a lot of headaches, and we came across a lot of obstacles, but at the end, 3 years later, look at where we are. We're very happy. I think we're still in a stage of extreme growth, just trying to figure out what our next step is. And every time I look back to that conversation we originally had, and Boy trying to convince me I couldn't be more happy that he was so stubborn to my refusal. When I was like, "No, man, I had a good job," he's like, "Bro, you have to try. Like this was our dream. Like we always did this." And I was like, like he had some right points, and I was stubborn myself, but once I caved in, I haven't looked back since.
Yeah, and at the time we weren't making like any money at all. Like Danny was making money, and I was like, dude, you need to quit this, job lifestyle you have, and we need to like put it all in, because like if we don't end up putting it all in and we don't do the hours, then we're never gonna go full time. Like we need to sacrifice and do what we can. So here we are now. We're still sacrificing for it even now. Even though we make money, we've learned to put it back into the company so we can grow the
Business.
company.
Yeah. Well, definitely you guys the epitome of having that entrepreneurial spirit. Danny having a stable income, having to make the decision because this could be a lot bigger if you put all your time and effort and energy into it. Because a lot of people think, okay, I have a business idea, I have a stable job, I'm gonna do the business idea on the side part time. Yet what happened is that part time work is kind of like not creating the actual branding that you want that business to have, and inadvertently sometimes you create a bad reputation for that business if you're not giving it your best, right? So
Mhm.
it's a big risk that you guys have taken to find. Okay, you'll both jump in with both feet. My impression is that you, Danny, is the person usually behind the scene, and Puya is sort of doing more of the pre-production and the business side of it. Is that that's my impression? Is that correct? My impression is correct.
Yeah, I would say so. I say that we like to share the responsibilities as much as we can. Like, if there's anything along the lines of creative, I'm always going to Poya first to hear what he thinks. And anytime Poya makes a marketing decision, he's always asking me whether or not we should spend this money and telling me the risks and rewards of trying to pursue a new platform or something like that. So yeah, I would say you're pretty much nail on the head.
I got it. Well, I think we have a couple of meetings in the past because I have some projects of my own that I've been envisioning. It hasn't come to fruition yet, but I really think that you guys are the perfect fit for all the vision. And I like having meeting with you guys because both of you, when I'm sitting down in front of both of you, one guy will tell me all, kind of bring me down to reality on the creative side of things, and that will be Danny. Danny will say, okay, if you want this project to happen, these are the logistics, this is how it will be done on the set. And Puya will be like, time wise, schedule wise, cost wise, this is what you're looking at. So I get a better picture. I have a vision. I have a project I want to do, and then I consult with you guys. If I want to do this, what do you guys think should I be preparing for in terms of cost, schedule? Who will be? Do we need? Stage hands and volunteers and all that. And you guys bring me down to the practical level and give me an exact picture what I should be looking at. Because a lot of film producers, they have. I remember one meme that you have shared on your Instagram way back, where the client has this vision, but the client has this and another photo, which is like way downgrade, and this is his budget.
Yeah,
Remember that meme? I can't
yeah,
remember exactly what was the photo, but I see that. Okay, this is your vision, but this is your budget.
yeah.
Yeah.
They
Somehow you
want
have to
a
bridge it.
Superman commercial, but then their budget's only like $1,000.
So yeah, that's very good. You guys are very professional. The first time I met you, or I mean, the how I got to know about Origin Films is through a common friend of ours when you did when you produced, and I'm gonna share a little bit of that video later on. You produced music video for Gabby Boy, this Latino guy, and the extra is my friend Michelle Cavalieri. Well, I won't say extra, maybe a supporting act, right?
Yeah,
And that's how I get to know you. But you guys, looking like pretty young CEOs, but you already have a lot of you have created a community of filmmakers and actors, and I can see that if you don't mind, I want to play something on with your behind the scenes.
Of course.
Let's start it from the beginning.
Hey guys, we're here on the set of The Crew. It's going to be an exciting day. We're just getting set up with everyone in the back. So everyone's getting prepared, actors are getting prepared in the back, and it's going to be a good day. And we can't wait to show you guys some more behind the scenes.
Alright, so right now we're just all gathering together. We're about to go for the first shot, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good day. I'm super excited for it.
Two-way, take one, mark the camera.
Hey, it's Danny, the director of The Crew documentary. I don't really know what to say. I was told to talk to the camera, so let's see. We're about to go outside to do the second scene of the day. It's when Frances meets the crew for the very first time, and it's a lot of fun because, compared to her commercial production shoots, were typically more serious. She meets the rest of the team, and they're a bunch of zany, quirky people, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to see her awkward interaction with the rest of the crew. Yeah, so come check it out. It's going to be a basic 2-camera setup, a lot of over the shoulders. I'm running out of things to say, so I'm just going to say bye.
Has a pretty funny speech right there, Zanny. But you can see everybody, all our viewers can see right now that you guys have a big crew behind you. And of course, this one is a documentary. This is not a commercial that you're shooting here, right?
This was actually a pilot for a TV show that we wanted to pitch to have it actually be created. So some of the equipment, if anybody's in the video or film production industry, like the equipment we were using was totally a creative decision. We would never ever use those cameras on a real production. But the idea was that the TV show was filmed through the perspective of these low end, behind the scenes filmmakers. So that's why the cameras that you see some of those camera operators are using, they're just handy cams. Like they're stuff that you can just go into Walmart or Henry's and buy. And it shows that because it had like a specific texture to that image quality that we thought was a really good representation of the perspective's aesthetic. So yeah, but that's kind of something that a lot of people in the film industry don't know, that even just to make something super small using low end equipment like this, there's at least 10 to 20 people behind the scenes who are in charge of specific roles, and that is normally where where a budget is needed. Like sometimes we'll go get clients who say like, hey, like I have $5,000, as we mentioned earlier, and I need that Superman commercial, and we have to tell them like, hey, that's only like 10% of the cost. There's like 20 other people who need to get paid and stuff like that. But that's just a part of knowledge in the industry. And I feel like a lot of creators, since we're talking about music and music videos and artistry and art in general, I feel like a lot of people don't understand that, right? Like if you're selling a piece of art or you're trying to get your song produced, and the back end of that, for somebody to listen to that song, like, yeah, that's a 3 to 5 minute experience, but to create that, there could have been days or weeks or months, like hundreds of hours put in
preparation.
Yeah, exactly. So from that perspective, I think that's something that as a film industry, as creators, we share with all of the people that you had on your show. The time and effort it takes to become professional and create the work that we create.
Well, yes. Whatever industry you are, involved in, it's not the gears that you use, or it's not the materials that is the highest source of cost. It's usually the people that comes together to make things happen. So this is a mockumentary, but I'd like to show this because this could be a similar picture if you are producing a corporate video or a commercial for a client, right? There's going to be people who's lugging all the equipment. There are people who are setting up the lights, testing the mics, and a lot of assistance that you need to produce one 3-minute video. Like you said, it would be weeks in preparation. And I can see, like, even in the beginning of this snippet here, you guys are doing it professionally. You have storyboarding, you have meetings, how with your crew. How are you going to efficiently implement the plan, right? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, we well definitely a lot of pre-planning goes into all of this just because you want to save as much time and money on the day because when it comes to the shoot day, you're paying a lot of crew members, you're paying actors, you're paying for the equipment on set. So you don't want to waste any time at all. So we pre-plan everything, and we even have a schedule, and we have an assistant director who's on top of this schedule, and she marks down everything. So, it's like we have 20 minutes for the first shot, we have 30 minutes for the second shot. And if we go over, she starts usually getting angry at everyone and saying, hey, we need to move on with everything. So pre-planning is super important, just because you want to keep your client's budget in mind. And, at the end of the day, you don't want to go to that second shoot day because if you look at what we have right here, let's say we're paying about $5,000 for all these people and equipment here, and we're supposed to do it in one day. If it gets pushed to the second day, now we have to pay that, right? And some days are, 5,000 is on the low end for some days. Some days you're paying 10,000, and even on bigger movie budgets, you're paying, hundreds of thousands for a day. So it's important to be prepared.
That's why we see all this Hollywood movies, and they say, "Oh, the budget for this was, in the tens or hundreds of millions," and you're like, "Oh, where did that all money go to? Did it go to the editing? Did it go to the sounds?" But it's mostly the workforce, right? Just if you have a client that has $1,000 budget, that would probably be enough just to feed the people. you were showing a lot of food there too. How much feeding you need to take care of too on the set. So you gotta put all of that in the cost, and that's amazing, guys. I love watching behind the scenes stuff that you guys are doing here. Very professional, very high quality, and both of you are doing what you're passionate about, right?
Of course, yes. Gets us excited to get up in the morning and work.
Yeah, because what's the saying goes again? If you're doing something that you love, then you don't work, and you don't work a day in your life.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, it's just like you're playing, right? You're having fun. But we got knocked down by the lockdowns and the pandemic. Even myself, it's very hard to market yourself and to find clients. Just prospecting for clients, it's very difficult. How did you guys manage through all the lockdowns?
Yeah, I think in the earlier stages, we were still doing very, very good. Obviously, in the last month and a half, we've kind of slowed down just because it's winter time, and a lot of people don't like to shoot during winter. They're usually just planning for the next year, like the new year. So they're planning for commercials during that time to shoot then. But when COVID hit, we had to kind of readjust our sets. So we started bringing in COVID officers that was in place by the government. So pretty much you have a COVID officer there. She takes your temperatures. You do a lot of paperwork before you come on set. And then this allows you to actually be working on the set. And then aside from that, she's usually sanitizing. She's making sure everyone has their masks on. So it does, we do a lot of safety stuff now that we didn't do before.
So the COVID officer is provided by the government, and you have to pay this person?
So it's up to us to bring in our own COVID officer.
Okay.
It's just suggested by the government that you have to have them on set if you're running a set. So it's just an extra cost that obviously occurs for us, but it's a part. It's a part of the whole thing.
Hmm. The game is changing because of all this restriction. But is it true that filmmaking is considered an essential industry?
That's a tough question. I wouldn't really know. I would say, the cash flow that happens in the film industry is very useful to the economy. In that sense, it is essential, but is it necessary to have, video content to live your life? No, not necessarily.
Maybe in this day and age.
Well, I kind of want to argue that video content is kind of necessary because they're locking everyone down, and what are they gonna do in their homes,
Exactly.
That's true.
right? So the only way you can keep people at home is if they're they got the big screen in front of them.
Right. Some
Then
type of entertainment.
Yeah, because people will just kill each other if there's no television in homes. We're just gonna die in boredom and just pick on each other and see each other's fault in the family. And there's a lot of actually, I heard that there's a lot of abuse that happened during the lockdown. Female abuse, children abuse. That's why
Quite ashamed to see what this pandemic has done to a lot of society.
Mhm.
It's pretty bizarre. Like, obviously, we all know the news that happens around the world. People even protesting against Corona, saying that it's not real and taking these massive, this absurd action to prevent the use of masks for whatever reason. So it's kind of interesting what this pandemic has brought out in people.
Yes, yeah. Well,
But
I
the
think
hope is that it goes away and everything goes back to normal.
I hope it doesn't only go back to normal. I hope that when we go back to supposedly the old normal they call, is that we come back roaring and more, because there's a pent up demand that was created with all these lockdowns. I hope, like I talked to a lot of musicians, music producers as well, festival producers, live event producers on this show, on this particular freestyle indie. And man, everybody just itching for this lockdown to get lifted so that we can go back roaring louder than it was before. And I think that would be what will happen. People will be more excited. So yeah, but if they're gonna force us into isolation and into lockdown, they gotta give us television. They gotta give us video content so that we will be willing to stay home, right? So like those NBA games and those, they got it should have been more than ever. The entertainment should have been more than ever. But anyways, yeah, I see around, like sometimes I drive around when I pick up my wife back and forth work. She works downtown. I see a lot of the William White trucks.
Oh yeah.
Park. You know what I'm talking about. Those supplier of rentals. I think they are rentals company
Yeah.
for filmmakers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see them at the ROM. They're set up there, and then you can see all the big lights. They're all inside the ROM. They lock down so that only the film crew will be in there. And then they have a lot of cones outside, and I see that everywhere in the city. So I think, they
Yeah,
probably-
it is the cones. The cones gives it away. Anytime I see cones, I'm like, there's probably a film set around here.
cones, William White trucks, and what do you call those? Where you can live in the RVs,
Right.
right? And when you see a lineup of RVs in the city, why are they RVing in the city? That means it's a film production. I want to show I will share a screen of how I discovered you guys. And my camera died. Hang in there.
No worries.
I will just have to change my battery. Let me play this.
Pero tu forma de bailar, tu forma de actuar no va conmigo.
So this is Michelle Cavallari.
No me fastidies más.
I might have to keep talking over it because I'm sure your client has copyrighted this. And we will be muted on Facebook if the what's the company name? What is your client's name?
Gabby Boy.
Gubby Boy. I mean, he's the one who owns the copyright, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most likely he copyrighted this, and if I don't talk over it, the AI or the algorithm will pick up on the music, and it will get blocked. Like I was uh I was interviewing. I'm just changing my battery at the same time, guys. I was interviewing the leader of the band of a of the Accolades. Hello. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So I just changed the battery. Let me just. Yeah. So I gotta keep talking on top of the music, or else we can get blocked. I was interviewing the owner. Well, the leader of the band, and also the one who composed a song called American Dollar. I was interviewing him, and we were playing his own song, but his producer was Sony BMI, and Sony blocked our episode,
The
and
whole
it's like
thing.
the whole thing.
Oh my
So
god.
I had to dispute it, and then eventually they released it. It's like I was explaining on the blog. The guy who wrote the songs right beside me, he wrote it. He wrote it. He produced it. And you guys own. Yeah, Sony probably owns the copyright, right?
Of
Let
course,
me
yeah.
turn it down a bit more. But this is an excellent. See, tell me, how long is this video? This is what 3 minutes and 12 seconds, right? How many days have you prepared for this?
How many days did we prepare? I think honestly, this one was a little faster because Gabby Boy on it, he had everything already planned out in his head. So when he reached out to us, he's like, "I have the concept, I have the location, I have the actors, and our job was to mostly, figure out the logistics, see if we have the right equipment, check out the location to make sure we knew how we wanted to frame and block all the talent." And then obviously storyboarding and scripting and stuff like that. So I think the pre-production took around 2.5 weeks of just storyboarding, going back and forth with ideas, color ideas, outfits, and then the actual shooting of it took around like 24 hours, like 2 days, like 12, like
Ooh,
yeah, 10 to 12
well,
hours
that's
a day, and then it was another 2 weeks of editing. So yeah, in total it was around a month and a half.
so that's a good point. So if you have a prospective client who wants to do something like this,
Mhm.
and they are on a tight budget, these are some of the practical suggestions you can give them. Is if you have everything kind of like all your concept is all written down,
Yeah,
easily understandable,
yeah.
and you have the volunteers and the actors already lined up. So what will be the biggest uh, help to bring down that cost? Just kind of like for practical pointers.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of the time is spent in development and finding actors, finding locations. So if somebody comes to us, they have a concept that is realistic to their budget, they have the location, they have the actors, and all they really need is, sound, camera, and editing. That will save so much time and money because you don't need as big of a crew. Now, of course, like depending on the amount of people and the complexity of the shoot, that obviously is going to increase the budget. But as long as the concept is realistic to the budget and they have the location, the props, the actors, that can definitely help significantly reduce the budget.
Yeah, definitely. Because then you're doing a producer's job, and that's what a producer's job is in this industry, which is finding the locations, finding the actors. So you're really cutting down on the producer's time that he needs to be there.
Yeah. So the producers, uh, in my understanding, a producer's job in a television show, for example, finds the script, finds the crew that they will, or I mean, find the production company, find the actors, find the location, and all of that is what the producer does. And then, if everything is lined up, he passes it on to the production company, and the production company will have a director and all the film crew to implement what's already sort of planned out, right? Is that how it works usually on a TV show?
Yeah, very, very depending. Sometimes like the producer is already part of a production company,
Mm.
so he's there like helping out with everything else as well.
Mm-hmm.
The director is more about the creative vision, and the producer is more about the business side.
The business,
And
yes.
making sure the show is not going to fail. The people are getting along. Like if two people have a dispute on set, let's say actors, it's the producer's job to step in and be like, hey, listen, like we're paying you, so you should calm down, or whatever, right? Like whatever it is to really calm down the situation. So you can see a producer as like a businessman almost.
Yes.
He's running that. And at the end of the day, on a like bigger film production, the producer makes like 40%, I'm pretty sure. So
The producer. Hmm.
yeah, so he makes the like most amount of money usually on a film. So a producer's like a super important job. And if it does fail, he's not going to make that much money either. So
In live events where I got involved in trying promoting live events, they have a distinction between the executive producer and the producer. The executive producer is the money person, so he's the one who fronts up the cash, and the producer is just the one to put things together. Location and actors and everything that needs to happen. But the executive producer sometimes are hands off, right? They're all about, here's the money. How much are you gonna pay me back? Is that many of the executive producers' jobs are?
Yeah, I would say the executive producer is basically just an honorary. Whoa, can't say that word.
Honorarium, yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's just a title because really, another word for executive producer is an investor.
Investor, yeah.
Exactly. So, for example, if somebody was to donate, let's say, a cafe for a production company to film in, they would be considered an executive producer.
They will. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, executive producers, like say for example, if they given 50% of the entire shoot's budget, the executive producer technically has more say than the producer. So if they're like, I really don't like that shot because it makes my image look bad or something, take it out. The producer and the production team have really no say over that because the executive producer is giving you all the money. But it's the producer's job to manage all that money. So there's a specific budget. They're trying to make everything work within that budget. So that's the kind of distinction there.
So the executive producer is the one that is calling the shots because he's the investors in the investor of the whole production.
Yeah, sometimes it really depends. It really depends on how much like he should be letting the producer call the shots in that sense because it's really like their project in that sense, and the producer should know more. The executive is like sometimes in movies you see like executive producer like big name, right? And most of the time in those types of movies, it's really like advertising too. It's like this person, it's almost like this person's like in this movie, so you should be watching it. So they're like an executive producer on it, but they might have not even done like that much work on the actual.
Well, sometimes the actors in their career would be able to amass certain level of capital and they want to be producers themselves. They become executive producers of certain movies or TV shows, but not necessarily they're working on it. They're just investors to the project, but because maybe their name has some sort of like marketing value, they put their name on it and say, hey, or maybe cameo even, right? Cameo on the show and say, hey, this is Ellen's production or Oprah's production or Tom Hanks, although he didn't really do anything to it except to supply the money. So it's very interesting to get to know more about this because isn't Toronto one of the biggest filming scenes in the world?
Yeah, definitely. Just because a lot of US is dishing money into Canada to film because obviously the US dollar is a lot more and you're not really far away from family, like if you need to fly back or anything for the actors. And then at the same time, you can still get, I guess you can just get everyone here for cheaper. That's what it is.
Yeah. US and Canada go hand in hand because, for example, if they wanted to film in New York, if you wanted to block off a street in New York, one of the most busy cities in America, it would cost you millions of dollars. You can do the same thing in Toronto, but it's going to cost less and it's not going to affect the, economy of that city as much. Because people need to get to work in New York City, for example, but they can't have like a fake building blow up. But in Toronto, you can do that and then make it look like New York City, right? So
That's right. Just change the signs, put the New York cabs on the road.
yeah,
And I used to live downtown, and I used to see a lot of those. Sometimes on my way home from work, I will end up like, because I just walk. I used to work at King and Young, Shoppers Drug Mart, and then my home is on Esplanade, and I would walk home, but then I'll see a lot of filming going on, and I will end up sitting there watching the whole production until past midnight, and then I'll check the time. Oh man, I gotta go home and eat and sleep. But it's very interesting. I love the behind the scenes stuff on film productions. It's very, and that's bustling in Toronto. Before the lockdown, we it seems like we are going to be taking off. We have Netflix came here, right? Netflix had their head office here. What else? I thought Google also created a head office in Toronto. Amazon came. They're not specifically in relation to movie making, but we are building a lot of big movie studios in Toronto, right? And then the
Yeah.
lockdown came. What do you guys think? It will continue after the lockdown is lifted? It-
100%. Videos just getting bigger and bigger, right? Like more people want to watch content. It's just something that we've been used to, and now it's just getting better and better. We're going into like virtual reality now, so I think videos like always going to be around. And you mentioned like Amazon not being a big part of the game, but they actually are because they own
we
Amazon
are.
Prime, right?
Yeah,
They have
Amazon
their own TV shows. They have Amazon Studios, so everyone's smart and they know what's going on. So they're all heading to Canada to start up their own studios so they can get a little piece of the pie.
yeah.
Well, for now, sorry. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say,
Sorry.
if you think about all the big movies that were supposed to come out this year that got put on hold, while those show movies were coming out, there's definitely more movies that are in pre-production. So when 2021 comes and hopefully these restrictions are lifted and movies are going to be released again and people are going to be excited to go out, like I'm assuming that we're going to see some really big box office records because people, once they get excited about a movie and also are able to get out of the house again,
Mm,
finally, it's just going to start this giant, momentum for the movie industry. That is just my opinion, but with the way that the world works and the way that current trends are, I think that's definitely going to happen. Like people just want to get out, as you mentioned earlier.
yes.
So once they're allowed, they're gonna have money to spend, and what better way to spend an evening but than watching a movie with your family and friends? Cost you $10.
Well, yeah, movies is the answer to those high opera, high art, uh, otherwise unaffordable for the ordinary Janes and Joes, right? The theaters and the operas, we cannot most ordinary people cannot afford those. So when movie was created is to answer that problem. So yeah, like what you're saying, Danny, I think the pent up demand will actually push it more. Do you guys think that the industry is shifting more to online content? But because I love to be out there, going to a big screen, watching my movie in a big screen with hearing other people reacting to the movie, either they're crying or laughing, applauding. Uh, Back in the 80s, people applaud, right? Inside the theaters. I wish that will come back, right? But one other places where people used to applaud is when you're an intercontinental flight and it lands. People start laughing. We made it. We're alive.
Right.
I don't know if they still do that in airlines, but yeah. What do you guys think that there's a shift to online content? I can tell you from personal experience. My client now, I was talking to you guys about my biggest client back in March. ABS CBN got shut down, but then now they go to streaming. So they're still my client now, and they just recently asked me to do some marketing for them again. But what happened to them is that they have a film segment of their business. They're mostly television, but they have a film studio called Star Cinema. And with Star Cinema, what they did now it's they made sequels of the movies that they've produced when they're still a big shot, but the sequels now are actually low budget actors. They cannot afford the big name actors anymore, but they have the rights to the scripts and the story. So they hire new actors, fresh face, younger actors. So for example, my client, I think they don't mind me talking about this because they want me to talk about their movies. One of the movies that came out in 2019, and it's a blockbuster, a Filipino film called uh, Four Sisters and a Wedding. So Four Sisters has one. The youngest brother is going to a wedding, and the story behind the four elder sisters, how they're trying to get their fingers into the wedding, right? Because women loves weddings. So that's the entire story. And Four Sisters and a Wedding was a big hit in 2019. Then the lockdown came, and they were also shut down by Congress. And now they created a sequel called Four Sisters Before the Wedding. And the four sisters that are the main actors were big shot actresses in the Philippines, but now the sequel Four Sisters Before the Wedding are younger, cheaper, I mean more affordable actors that they're using. And I was supposed to interview them here on the Freestyle India actually, but they postponed it for January. The is there a same pattern in Hollywood? Do you think?
I think when we're talking about like online demand for video, I definitely think there's a trend for making more content specifically for online. And the reason why is because they're all in competition with each other, right? Like if you think about all the big names right now, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, right? They're creating movies, TV shows, even animes specifically for their platform because they want to keep customers on their platform. So as long as that's still happening, as long as people still want video on demand, I think those type of companies will still continue to produce, movies that won't be ever shown in the movie theaters. They're gonna have it specifically only for their platforms, right? So in that sense, I would say, yeah, it is growing. I don't know if it's going to become more mainstream because you have Universal Pictures, Sony, like all these other big production companies that will go to the movie theaters and then eventually end up in Netflix or Amazon or something like that. But I think because these companies like Netflix have such big assets, they're just gonna pump out movies like no tomorrow. Like you're gonna get new movies every single week, every single month on Netflix, right? That's just kind of how it works.
Well, typically it's like the main theater, the big theater movies come to stream after they're shown in the big theaters.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be nice to see the other way around too. Netflix producing for big screens, right? Netflix, and I don't know if YouTube's gonna go into filmmaking, but Amazon Prime, they have their own production. It would be nice to see them create movie theaters and say this is a Netflix production and you're watching it on big screen, and then they also go afterwards to the stream. But of course, yeah, to keep their subscribers loyal, they gotta produce more and more shows. So thank you for all the insights, guys, but I want to ask you, how would a client who's interested in your work, how are they going to be able to, what are the steps if somebody has an idea and they want to work with Arjun Films? What are the things they have to keep in mind to kind of get prepared, and how do they start a collaboration with you or hiring you?
I think we like to keep things super simple as a company. Like we are always in contact with all of our clients. It's always me and Poya or one of our close directors talking directly to our clients. It's never like a middleman. It's always us personally. So my recommendation would be to just reach out through our Instagram, Origin Films, sending us an email at originfilms.ca. And
I'm going to type it now for them to see on the lower thirds. Tell me again, what's your Instagram handle?
It's just Origin Films.
Okay.
Yeah, so Origin Films. Origin Films. Sorry?
I'm not an Instagrammer, but how do you start an Instagram handle? Is it an @ sign or a hashtag before the word?
It's an @ sign.
@ sign, okay. At Origin Films, okay. Okay, what else?
Originfilms.ca. is our website.
The website, okay. And Do you know your Facebook shortcut? Do you have a Facebook shortcut?
Um, yes, like facebook.com/origin films, but with two S's at the end.
Okay, facebook.com. Can I just put fb.com because I don't think it will fit.
Yeah, of course. So
Eh,
facebook.com /origin films, but with two S's at the end. Someone stole the first.
Oh, there you go. Do you want to give your email address for people who wants to contact you?
Of course, yeah, it's booking. So booking
Uh-huh.
at originfilms.ca.
Films.ca. And there you go. Let me just show that for our. Did it fit in there?
It did.
Yep.
Awesome.
Oh, Origin Films. That's the Instagram. Originfilms.ca. That's the website. On the bottom, you'll see fb.com. You have to type Facebook, the whole word, facebook.com origin /origin films with two S's. And if you want to email my friends, Puya and Danny, booking at originsfilms.ca. Last comment and a question as well. I used to be a financial consultant, and sometimes people will approach me when I used to be in that industry. They will ask me, Joseph, what's it going to cost me? I want to do what my uncle does. I want some mutual funds. I want some stocks. I want some bonds. Um, this is what I want to do. How much it'll cost me? What are you going to do for me? This is the kind of setup I want. I want the same setup as my sister, my uncle, my brother, my dad. And I tell them, uh, financial consultants are like doctors. I cannot just recommend exactly the same prescription to you as what your dad has, right? And I think would that be the same for film producers, right? You have a project. I cannot tell you how much it will cost. We have to sit down. Let's see what you want to do, right? What do you want to do? Where do you want to do it? What kind of treatment? What kind of aesthetics you want to see? What are the initial steps for them to have a better picture and for to have a practical picture in their heads? What are they looking at for a certain budget? What are the first things you're gonna tell a client?
I would say, like, if they come to us with an idea, generally using our own expertise, I can give you like three packages off the top of my head, right? Something that might be you want to just use for digital, something you might just want for your website, super professional, and then maybe something on the level of like commercial TV broadcasting. So there's three different packages I can go off right off the top of my head, just from using your concept. But realistically, if somehow there was like a video reference, the video that inspired you to make this commercial or make this music video, if you send that our way, we can instantly tell you how the range of what something like that would cost, just by looking at the camera quality, the amount of lighting, that kind of stuff. We can kind of give you a breakdown. But like I said, the easiest thing to do is just contact us directly. It's always one of us answering our emails. We'll discuss your vision and figure out your budget or your logistics, and try to make something work for you guys.
Sounds good. Any last words, Puya? Puya?
No, I'm grateful that you brought us on here. We really appreciate it. And I hope everyone who's watching got a lot of value out of this. I think it's super important to, learn new things. And I hope me and Danny were valuable, as well as Joe.
Well, I'm very grateful that you guys came and give us a lot of insights on how to think about a certain video production project that they have in mind. Whether it's be I move around the community of creatives, of people who want to create their own music video, people who wants to create their own virtual concerts, whatnot. But yeah, when it comes to bringing the project, the vision to reality and actual, logistics, um, how to put into fruition a vision, you guys are the best people to talk to. And thank you for bringing that insight to our audience today. I said that's the last question, but actually the last question is usually usually it's musicians that I have here, and they close with the Christmas uh, performance. But of course, we don't have any instruments for us to play any Christmas performance. But I would like just to ask you guys, what are your wishes for Christmas, for all your family, and for all those who are watching us today?
Good health. In this crazy time, all I could ask from my family and my friends is to, stay safe. I pray for your health. I pray for your happiness. This is a hard time, but there is a silver lining here somewhere. And when everything goes back to normal, I hope everyone can walk away with a little bit more gratitude, knowing, what kind of year we came from and how the future is looking. So that's about it.
Christmas wishes, Puya.
Yeah, I would just say I hope everyone becomes super happy or is already happy, because happiness is, obviously super important. So just stay well and stay happy.
Well, let's end with one of your video productions with Gabby Boy, since we don't have a Christmas Christmas feast to share. This will suffice. I'm your host, Ordinary Joey Salvador. My guest today was Puya and Danny, the founders, the producers, the directors, the CEOs and COOs of Origin Films, and this is one of their production right here. Don't go away, guys. We'll just say goodbye to our viewers. God bless you all. We'll see you again next time. This is Freestyle Indie, only here on the Ordinary Joe Show.
Ordinary Joe.
No deje de existir.